All right, so these covers, like, I'm not exaggerating, took maybe about 2 days to dry because, I mean, obviously, I boiled them, so they were soaked, but they fell apart. Um, yeah, so I'm gonna have to, like, kind of sort of break a little rule. I'm gonna have to, like, use my cardboard. I mean, this was, free cardboard. I'm gonna have to reinforce there, and then after I do that, I put some glue. Let me put glue, lots of glue. Lots and lots and lots and lots of glue. Just because. Just because. And then make sure you don't have it too far over, because I sometimes make that mistake. And then what does it do? Then it binds, right? You don't want it to be binding. And then I'll end up putting some clips on here. This thing still seems a little damp. A little damp. Look, it's just sucking it up. Let's put some more. Let's put some more. I think we kind of sort of got it. Let me get some of my little clips. Real prepared, Rosemary. There, bigger one's better. So we'll get that down, let that dry nice. And then once that's dry, then I'll go ahead and then I have to glue that on top of there. So that's the plan for now. And of course, the other one did the exact same thing. Don't you know? So let's kind of sort of repair that one a little bit. And we'll glue this one in there. Lift that up again. Double check that. Oops, that's got to get glued down. We'll do that afterwards. I'll just put that layer. That right there. And now we're going to let this glue. And, I mean, dry. We're going to let that dry. And then we'll come back and go to the next stage of putting these together. Alrighty, so I glued this down and it's pretty dry. And Yeah, running into problems because the inside part of the spine just kind of disintegrated. So it's like, okay, how am I going to attach this to that? There's not much overlap that's available for me to catch on with the glue. So I had to cheat yet again. I had to get a piece of fabric. So I'm going to have to put a piece of fabric in here to reinforce it. So good thing I'm making up the rules as I go along. So I did the other one to make sure it was going to work before I did the second one. So this is what I did. I glued the fabric onto here, and then remember that that coiled up rug that I showed you earlier the other day while things were drying. I tore it all apart, and it left me with all of this. So what I did, I separated the light ones from the dark ones, and so I figure I'll be using the light ones on these books. And what I did is on the back here, it was just so flimsy, ready to tear us, because this is like really just paper. It's not any kind of cloth at all, any kind of book cloth or anything. It's just paper. So that's why it tore like that. So I got one of these, and basically just glued it down there in that little valley. And later on, I may decide to cover this up with some paper or something, or I just may leave it because, I love my orange. So for now, I'm going to leave it like that. So, it was a little tricky. And this one doesn't have really anything, because see, that is that gap you're supposed to have between the spine and the back. So it isn't like I can butt that up and, because then you're going to have trouble opening it. So there's only like what, a quarter of an inch? No. Eighth of an inch right here. The rest I really can't glue to anything. So I'm just going to put that little tiny bit right there that will catch, and then the rest I'm going to have to catch with the fabric. It'll work. It's just a little delicate. Make sure if you do this that you leave a gap between this board and this board for it to be able to open. So so you don't get that binding. You see, only a tiny bit right there is going to actually catch. Nothing else here catches, so I didn't put any glue, and it'll just bind together when I put the glue with the actual fabric. See how that's the only place? Ooh, and that's barely hitting. Hold on. That's barely connecting right there. Okay, leave it alone, Rosemary. Leave it alone. Okay, so, whoops, fabric. So I'm just going to put that fabric down. So we'll just get a bunch of glue and hope I don't mess up by moving this over here, which I can do. Make sure you get here in these little valleys. It's important to get all this connection, because for some of the parts in the back, that's really the only place you're going to be connecting to. So we can do it. We can do it. It's all doable. These that you have to fix along the way, they always end up coming out the coolest because it's not real conventional. You get all these little twists and turns. And it just makes your book unique, that's all. So, okay, so now we got that kind of connected. Fill in the gaps. Gaps filled. Whoops. Okay, so we got at least that right there. And I would let that dry completely, but for the sake of doing this, let's just flip this over. And now, perfect length. So now what we'll do is we'll do this side first. Let that dry a little bit more. Get this here in that valley. And cut out a tiny bit either side. Whoop. Okay. Do the same on the other side. Let me get the piece ready. Make sure it's wide enough. See, that's not very wide. Hold on, let me see. That's a little wider. This will do good. A little different color, but it doesn't matter. Oops. It's late here, guys. I had to tear up the studio because the air conditioning guys are coming tomorrow early. And they have to go up in the attic, so all of my work tables are right underneath the entrance to the attic. So it has to get, I had to move all that stuff so they can get the ladder to get up there. So it was like, oh man, that was like the last thing I wanted to do today, but I had to. So that's all ready for the morning. But now I'm pooped. more glue right there. There we go. Okay. Looks pretty cool. So anyways, we'll let that dry. And this is pretty much how it will look when it's all dried up and it'll be all ready for the signature. So that will be the next thing we do. We will start configuring the signatures, figure out what I'm going to put in each book, and we'll be ready to go for the next stage. Yay! Alrighty, signature time next.